the way up the line until it hits a VP level. Then what do we have to do with it? Well, now we have to find the right VP based on where you're at. And it's not necessarily the VP you report to, because maybe the VP you report to is a VP of a VP group. You need to go above that. And then it eventually gets to the CEO. And then he signs off, and it goes back around to HR for processing, and back around the person that signed up. So it's, there's a lot of flow. There's a lot of workflow available. And like I said, it's complicated. I don't think the projects that we outlined are extremely, I mean, I've got some that are extreme workflows that take 6 months. Okay? I don't think we can use it that way. Load a laptop. Sounds easy. Yeah, then you have to go look up an inventory and figure out which one is there and who's got it. Right? What's some of the other ones we got? We've got SAS access request and the Chronos access request. Those are accounts. And again, those you have to be mindful of compliance, and you have to be mindful of audits, and who all they touch in the background. Because there is a required audit for it. External auditors, internal auditors, and we have 3 audits every year, just for IT. The first one is the internal audit ourselves. That's all that's on. Actually, then we have Emerson, and their audit team comes out. Then we have Emerson's applied audit team for internal audits. And then we have the external auditors. And those are either KPMG or, they're big firms that come in 2 weeks at a time. And I'll tell you, the nicest thing is to give them the keys to our on-base system and said, guys, if you have any questions about any forms, they're all in there. If you got any questions about access and stuff, it's all in there. Go to one place. You just put in the name and you're ready to go. We've passed every audit for the last 4 years, no problem. We have had some issues. One of them was the termination, because we didn't have hourly people terminated, because at the different plants throughout the country, they'll have a quick write-off and then they'll bring people back. They'll have a slowdown or whatever. All of a sudden, you have to terminate and bring back, terminate and bring back. So it gets tedious, and they're going, well, you missed this one. This person's been gone for a year. And by golly, every time, those auditors will find that person. And it's only 1 or 2, but we identified it. We can get it down to one plant. We go right after that plant and say, guys, you got to follow this procedure, and you've got to do it. Well, with the automation now that we've got in place, it's not a question. They don't have to worry about it, and the auditors complete in that case. A big one that we haven't figured out how to do yet, and we're waiting for this termination to get rolled out, is the status change. Status changes like our auditor, I have an auditor on staff, works for me, and he's the one you'll be talking to about finance stuff and what he needs. But one of them is the status change. And the status change is very difficult to understand. When does your status on a network access change? Okay? Well, obviously, if you're terminated, it's changed. That's one. Okay? What's the next one? Well, if I just got promoted to a new job, do I still need all the access that I had before to do this new job? Maybe, maybe not. If I got transferred to a different area, do I still need that access? Maybe, maybe not. Someone should be looking at that or doing something about it. What the auditors have found is, I've been there 31 years. I've been in IT all the time, but I've had people that came on board the same time I did that went from IT over to supply chain, over to finance, maybe into sales and marketing, and all along the way they picked up access, right? I have IT access, now I've got sales and marketing access, now I've got supply chain access, now I've got finance access, and now you're back down to IT, and all of a sudden we look at what access you have. You're a super user. You've got access to everything, right? And the auditors go crazy. They're going to look at access and give this guy. He's sitting over here in accounting, but he can look at every engineering drawing that ever was, but he was down in engineering for 6 months. So how do you determine when when someone's status changes. Change of name, somebody gets married. Is that a status change? No. But could it be? Yeah, you don't know. So that's what we're trying to figure out, is even the workflow and what constitutes a change. And when should we review someone's access? Because I don't have a staff of 6 people that sit there and review access for everybody all day. You know, that's what we're saying. So we've got to come up with a way of checking status, checking access, and figuring out how to do that. We've not done it yet. So that's next to what that's right. But these Chronos access, that sounds pretty easy. Chronos is a timekeeping card system. It's our time card system. The difference is we've now changed it so that it's also for the non-exempt in the office area, the hourly in the office area, not only at the plant. It used to be at the plant level. Swipe your card, you checked in for Chronos, and that's your time card. So it eliminates a lot of the, punching and so forth, and I think they still have to punch someplace in the time. But then we have the secretaries and stuff that are paid hourly. They need to go in and fill out. They used to, up until 3 months ago, fill out a paper form that said, I work 8 hours a day, every day, and they fill it out every week. Send it to their manager to be signed. Well, that's crazy, right? Chronos has it built in, so we just implemented that so that they can do that. But the problem is now everybody needs access to Chronos, and we don't have that. And you have to make sure that it ties in with the termination, and you have to take them out to drive paychecks. And so we have to have the access form. Who needs access to Chronos and who need to sign up? So, yeah, there's a lot more to it than what it just is. It's just an access. The SAS access request, that's a conversion where you got WFT behind it. WFT, that's workflow. Yeah, it's the old program that we do. The SAS access request is a conversion of a workflow that's already in place. The problem is the requirements have changed greatly since that original workflow. We now have what we call legal entities. So that if I'm a corporate Emerson and you work in AC Emerson, I'm allowed to see everything you're doing because I'm a corporate. But AC is not allowed to see what I'm doing because I'm a corporate. They're not allowed to see what's going on over our refrigeration division. So all data that they're allowed to see has to relate to what they're on in. That's an audit requirement. It's also a huge legal requirement. So that if one portion of the company would get sued for whatever reason, it doesn't expand across the company. Because you can say, well, no, they're separate legal entities. They can't be deemed separate legal entities unless you have that basic firewall of data so that you can't see. So someone at AC can't see what's in refrigeration. Someone at the plant level can't see what's in corporate. So, well, SAS, up until going on, you can see all the data. We never cared. It's a 31-year-old system that's been there forever. It's a data warehouse that just has all the data in it. If you get access to SAS, you can see AC, rep, corporate, we don't care. It's just there. We put the barriers in SAS, but we never put in a request form so that we know what you need. So that's going to be a little bit more involved than what it sounds like. Plus, there's data sets. You need access to sales data. If you're a sales and marketing guy, that's okay. But if you're an engineering guy, you go to the access to sales. I don't know. Maybe if your product's planner, right? But there's different reasons to have access. Pricing data, there's only 4 people that are on the pricing data. So why don't they go put out a data set that has pricing? And that's totally so there's a lot of questions as to how to fill it out. Okay? It's not as easy as it sounds. And I know my agent is very frustrated when it takes us 3 months to do a workflow. When it's just ABC, why don't you just do it ABC? But it is. I just did a request for a new cell phone. except that the cell phone now, before that's how it used to work. And then you get your choice of 24 different cell phones or whatever we were supporting that month. And we never know whether you were still on contract with an old one or a new one or whatever. All of a sudden, we put in a form. You fill it out. The minute you fill it out, and you say, I'm replacing my old phone with a new phone. I want to upgrade from a BlackBerry to an iPhone. Why? You put in your telephone number. We go out and check a database, and it's not 24 years or 24 months old. You're not getting a phone. In fact, we won't even fill out the form for you. We'll blast you with a big sign that says, you're not eligible. Go away for another 3 months, basically, because it's saving people from even putting it in. Then, if they do, if they are eligible, it takes them to a website that shows the standards for the current 6 phones that we support, including iPhone, BlackBerry, and simple. And here's the plan that you can pick. And we also allow the manager to do that, because if you request a cell phone, all of a sudden, you hit that manager's cost center for at least $50 a month. At least the average is $107 a month. So he's got to know, hey, I just took on a new charge in my cost center. I'm okay with it. Most managers will say, yeah, because that means I can get hold of you anytime, day or night. So most, because especially with smartphones. But again, there's different things that you want to do that now prevents people who used to have to be involved all the time, because we get calls like, well, what kind of phone can I get? When's my eligibility date? I mean, we don't have to follow with that anymore. It's there in the form. It's built into the form so that you know. And that's the process of improvement that's going on. So there's all different sorts of things people want. Questions, guys? Do more active notice when you get to Edmondson.
A little bit about the learner you talked about with that. The learner, all I have written down is that you need to look at
It's a loaner program. We have X number of loaner PCs. So you have a finite inventory, which is kind of like all those sometimes you go away once a month. Maybe there's more in. They have different capabilities because they're not all the older ones. They're not always up to snuff. And so the person that's checking it out needs to know, if I need to have a really high-powered PC to run spreadsheets while I'm at a huge business meeting overseas, well, there's a whole lot of things that he's got to be aware that he needs on that PC. And so he's not going to pick an old model and say, yeah, that'll do. I'll just pick any model, or we won't be able to sit there and say, here, just take the old model. We'll have to find it and see if there's a better model in stock. Okay, that's the return. And then prep it for them for overseas. For trips like that, business trips. So a lot of times it's my PC broke, the help desk took it for 3 days, I need a loaner for the next 2 days. Those people can usually get by on the lower level ones because they got a spreadsheet somewhere else, they can get someone else to work on it. So there's all kinds of things. But the big thing is having an inventory so the person can view it with the capabilities as to this is available, here's the 6 PCs we have, pick one, it's available such and such a date, such and such a date, you have to put in the date that you're going to be wanting it. You have to know what dates. Because we have guys size in a couple weeks, and next thing you know, they hijacked it, we have to go hunt them down. But, and those are the types of things where we don't know. And so now in that workflow, when that runs, should we have another part of that that says, have you ever been super late returning one? And like a library that says, yeah, you're on the back of our list, you'll get one when we get one for you, There's all kinds of things that you could look into. It's wide open on all of these workflows. It's wide open. We want to see some imagination. We want to see with end users and with the business owners. Most of the business owners are in my area.